Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to round 2 of the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. We are live from the circuit Paul Ricard in the south of France. The weather is absolutely beautiful as we celebrate our 30th anniversary of Ferrari Challenge, and we're going to enjoy this round in the sunshine. So the Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers will take to the grid for 30 minutes of Ferrari Challenge racing around this challenging 5.842 kilometer circuit, just a few kilometers from Marseille. The circuit itself was inaugurated back in 1969, with the first race held in 1970. It's famed, of course, for the painted lines across the seemingly acres of tarmac runoff area that exist here at the circuit Paul Ricard. And there is the big boss, Andrea Maladisic, head of Corsa Clienti and Ferrari Challenge. Let's go down on the grid now, as opposed to down on the street, which was a brilliant Shack Attack song. Brilliant down there for us is Marietta Evans with all the news ahead of the race.
Well, welcome back to the grid. Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM are getting really close, very competitive, because all of the drivers are improving with every single track session. And one man who has made a lot of progress from last season when he made his debut is this driver, Nicolo Rossi. Nico, how are you feeling ahead of this race?
Well, very good, very focused, so looking for getting the best out of what I can do, so looking forward to it.
How do you feel about the level of this grid?
It's amazing, so not only great drivers, also great friends, so really cool, amazing.
Thank you very much, good luck for the race.
Thanks.
Nicolo Rossi is one of the good guys down there. In fact, they're all good guys, but Nicolo Rossi really has shown some improvement, as Marietta was saying there. And he, of course, will be lining up in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli AM. He is qualified P5 in class, that's P8 overall. So we'll see how he does. And there, the grid is a packed place then ahead of the start of the race. You can see to the right-hand side of your picture there is Stefano Guy, who is one of the sort of team principals stroke driver coaches. And there you can see the Ferrari F355 challenge car, which raced between 1995 and 2000 and will be leading the cars away as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Ferrari Challenge. And here's Marietta once again.
Now, on fourth row, we have making his return, a very experienced GT driver, Max Mugelli. Max, you have quite a lot of traffic ahead of you. How do you think you're going to manage?
For me, it's the first race. I drove a car yesterday for the first time, so I need to get the feeling. But anyway, I am sure that I am competitive. Obviously, the first row is very fast, but in front of me, the speed is the same. So my focus, my target is the podium.
And how does it feel to be back in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli?
Yeah, yes, incredible. 20 years later, I remember 20 years later with the 360, the fantastic podium in World Championship with the snap, with Michael Schumacher, Montezemolo, Jean Todt. It's a pleasure to come back in Ferrari Challenge for me.
And enjoy this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was great to hear from Max then, reliving all those memories of him driving the F360, of course, and as he says, those wonderful world final occasions with various celebrities, including Michael Schumacher. Keep fighting, Michael. And the Finale Mondiale event this year, incidentally, going to be held at Imola in Italy, as this fantastic car then, that forms part of the Ferrari Challenge history, makes its way off the grid then. This is the Ferrari F355, which I think was the second car in the Ferrari Challenge series, and what a beautiful car it is. And if I'm not mistaken, I rather think that might be Christian Colombo driving that car, who he has extraordinary racing experience, and is certainly, he has Ferrari running through his veins and absolutely knows how fantastic this car is. So it forms part of the rich heritage and rich history of the Ferrari Challenge, which, as we don't tire of reminding you, is celebrating its 30th anniversary here at this year's season, and Paul Ricard is one of the tracks that we are visiting this year. Of course, also included on our roster is Budapest and Hockenheim and Silverstone and Mugello and Imola for our finale mondiale event. So this car then doing its rounds here as part of the celebrations of that anniversary, and being driven to full effect to the delight of everyone here at Paul Ricard. This is our circuit location then, right down on the coast of the south of France. It really is a wonderful location for a racing circuit, I have to say. You could almost throw a tennis ball into the ocean from here. Well, you'd have to have quite a good throw, if I'm honest with you, but it's not far from the sea and not far from Marseille either. So a wonderful location, and as I say, it's famed really for these painted lines all around the tarmac runoff area. The air temperature is a beautiful 21 degrees, the track temperature 45 degrees with 67% humidity and just the light flutter of wind at 2 kilometers per hour. That's the way it looks, and those are the conditions that face the drivers across this 5.842 kilometer circuit, which, as I mentioned, was built back in 1969. The first race actually was held in 1970. And this is the track in its sectors. First sector contains turns 1 through 5. Now, it's a left-hander after the start-finish straight then, which is something of a funnel into sector 2, which is the fastest part of the track as you go from turn 6, and then that run from turn 7 through to the first part of the chicane, turn 8, is very quick, and then through turn 9 before you get to the real twisty part of the circuit, which is the final sector, which contains turns 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. And to give you a really good lap, here's Ange Bardet now.
Hello, I'm Ange Bardet. I'm a driver of SF Côte d'Azur. It's my own truck. Come with me and I see you one lap in race. This is the start of the lap. We are in the main straight. The first corner is the left, hard braking after the right, again a straight. Okay, we're in the straight of the Mistral, the curve of Cygne is very fast, and after there is the double turn right, is the very technical curve, the double droit du Bossé. Now we are at the end of the lap, the last curve, and straight on, full gas, the circuit Paul Ricard.
Thank you, Ange Bardet, then giving us a high lap here at Paul Ricard. This then is the car that celebrates part of the 30 years of Ferrari Challenge history as we celebrate our 30th anniversary year. It is the 355 Challenge car, which raced from 1995 through until 2000, and quite rightly takes its center stage here at Paul Ricard. It's a direct derivation of the road-going Berlinetta, but the model was fitted with a specific exhaust system, clutch, and all the safety features that have become commonplace for use on the track. So the engine remained the same, a 380 horsepower V8 power plant. And this then is the car that we race in the Ferrari Challenge now, of course, the 488 Challenge Evo. And Doriane has put her version of that car on pole position with Adrian SUTIL, welcome. He's alongside. Then we see John Vortique having a better time of it than he did in Portimao. He goes from P3 with Luca Nurmi alongside. Onjabadi and Christian Brunsborg are the best of the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. They go from P5 and P6 respectively. Max Mugelli returning from P7. Arno Dahlmeier goes from P8 on the grid. That's the 4th row. And to the 5th row now with Marco Pulcini and Nicolo Rossi, who we heard from down there on the grid earlier on. Then it's Hanno Laskowski and Alessandro Cozzi. Then they go from P11 and P12. Nigel Schoendeverd goes from P13 with Andrew Gilbert alongside P14. Then we find Omar Jackson and Michael Boucher. They are P15 and P16. And to the 9th row of the grid where we find David Gosner. Alexandre Boucher should have been on the next place, but we are unsure as to whether he is actually making the start, whether he's starting from the pit lane or whether he's not starting. So that's the latest information we have. Alongside me is my colleague, statistician, all-time good egg, and the man that knows everything there is to know about the Ferrari Challenge. It's Nico. Good afternoon, Nico Spalling.
Good afternoon. What would you like to know?
Go on, predict a winner in this.
No way. I will predict that Doriane Pin is going to make her mark, and Adrian SUTIL will not take anything but P1 lying down. So there's my prediction. It's going to be a great race. It's going to be competitive between Doriane Pin, who's quite a little bit younger than Adrian SUTIL. I think it's fair to say that.
Oh, you're brave.
I think he will accept that.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Of course, Adrian SUTIL with a glittering career in Formula One and actually not much racing after Formula One. So delighted that he's decided to come and join us in the Ferrari Challenge. Onjabadi we're on board with here, who is the best of the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. Now, let me explain. If the car has a red sun strip across the top of the windscreen, that means it's a Pirelli driver. If it has a white sun strip across the windscreen, it means it is a Trofeo Pirelli AM driver. And Doriane Pin, as Nico quite rightly said, put the car on pole position for Trofeo Pirelli, and for Pirelli AM, it was the local driver, Onjabadi, who goes from P1 within class, although that's P5 on the grid overall. So the cars reaching the conclusion of their rolling start, being led away by the Richard Mills safety car, which will peel off into the pit lane, and then the cars grid up in side-by-side formation, ready to do battle. Over 30 minutes here at this Paul Ricard circuit. 5.842 kilometers of tarmac await them. And who is going to see the checkered flag first at the end of the race? Well, if you're wise, you'd probably put your money on Doriane Pin, but one thing we know about the Ferrari Challenge is expect the unexpected. Stand by, they are heading towards the lighting gantry for the start of race 1, Trofeo Pirelli. The lights go out. Let's go racing. Adrian SUTIL was certainly champing at the bit. So too is Luca Nurmi. And don't rule out John Vortique either, as they all head towards turn number 1. I think Adrian SUTIL has just got the measure of Doriane Pin, but of course Doriane Pin has got the inside line. And that is the line to have going into turn number 1. But if Adrian SUTIL is able to maintain the momentum, that would put him right for the next turn. But sure enough, Doriane Pin has closed the door. Look at John Vortique trying his best to get by Adrian SUTIL. To the inside he goes. SUTIL, though, covers it off by carrying enough speed. Luca Nurmi steadfast in that P4 position, and it's Christian Brunsborg that has got past Onjabadi to pick up the lead of the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers.
We could see Luca Nurmi making a dive into that turn, didn't quite make it stick and just pulled out of it at the last moment, but aggressive driving from him there.
Now, Doriane Pin gave us a textbook example of what you should do with qualifying, because basically she chose to come out, do an installation lap, then do a hot lap, then put the car in the pit lane. So the tyre conservation that Doriane Pin has done through qualifying means that she has got good life in those tyres and come the end of the race. And of course, the other difference between Doriane Pin and Adrian SUTIL, notwithstanding the age that you were talking about, Nico, is the fact that Doriane Pin is 5'0" and weighs about 1 kilo, whereas Adrian SUTIL is quite a tall driver. So there is a weight disadvantage between the two of them. And Doriane Pin is already building something of a margin between herself and Adrian SUTIL. Now, Onjabadi is going to be disappointed in his home race to have been relegated to P2 within class. And Adrian SUTIL is putting the chase on to Doriane Pin, but so too is Anjabade onto Christian Brunsborg. And if I know Anjabade as I do, he will not be happy sitting there in second place as we ride on board with him now, the Trofeo Pirelli AM driver. He will throw absolutely everything at this as Christian Brunsborg runs just a little bit wide and almost allows an opportunity for Anjabade to take advantage of the gap that he left there. But he wasn't quite close enough to be able to take advantage as we conclude that lap and cross the timing line and put it in the book then. So it is Doriane Pin from Adrian SUTIL, from John Vortique, who is P3, and you can see that Doriane Pin is beginning to break away just a little bit from SUTIL, and both of them are breaking away a little bit from John Vortique. Meantime, Brunsborg is being hounded by Anjabade as we look at Arno Dahlmeier, who is running in P3 in the Trofeo Pirelli AM race. And Anjabade goes through on Christian Brunsborg. I said he wasn't going to be happy being P2 in his local race, and sure enough, he has managed to get by Christian Brunsborg. And therefore, there is a change in the lead of Trofeo Pirelli AM. It's now the local driver, Anjabade, who treated us to a high-speed lap just a few moments ago at the start of our program, who is leading the Trofeo Pirelli AM race. And there you can see just how he's very aware of everything. He's looking at the dashboard, he's looking outside at the rear view mirrors. I mean, he's all over the place because he knows that Christian Brunsborg's going to try and get a toe off the back of the Anjabade car as under braking. That's how close Christian Brunsborg gets. And Anjabade is having to metaphorically stick his elbows out and make that 488 challenge Evo a little bit wider than it really is to prevent Christian Brunsborg from retaking that P1 place, Nico.
Yeah, definitely. Anjabade, we had a brilliant onboard shot of how he got alongside and then pulled it off through the turn, and now he is going to focus on trying to prevent from Christian Brunsborg from doing the same thing. Talking about cars and width, the track has a certain width, and drivers are already being warned about exceeding the track limits, which can lead to a penalty if you do it too often. Generally, 3 times you're just within the acceptable. Once you get to a 4th time, you will get a final warning, and then you will get a penalty.
And that penalty will be a time penalty, Nico.
Yeah, generally 5 seconds for the first transgression. After that, and more severe punishment to follow if you continue to run afoul with track limits.
Yes, our race director, being ably assisted by one of our Competizione GT drivers this weekend, Miguel Molina, is with us here in Paul Ricard. And yes, ruled with a rod of iron, Claudio Garavini, our race director. So there is the number 5 car of the Go Motorsport driver, Adrian SUTIL. There's Nicolo Rossi. Marietta was with Nicolo earlier on as we were down on the grid, and being hounded here by the car of Max Mugelli. Now, Max Mugelli, of course, is in a different class because what's happening here is Nicolo Rossi is chasing down Marco Pulcini at the moment. Lovely livery on that 488 Challenge Evo car. And there's a 3-way fight going on there, but the 3-way fight only contains 2 Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers and a Pirelli driver as well. Doriane Pin leading by 2.163 seconds over Adrian SUTIL. And for the AM drivers, Anjabade has created something like a 2-second gap over Christian Brunsborg as well. So we stay with this little fight that's going on as Marco Pulcini, who is P4 in class, P8 in the race overall, with Nicolo Rossi doing the chasing here. So Nicolo Rossi then with Max Mugelli right on his gearbox, to be honest with you. And Max Mugelli, who is a Trofeo Pirelli driver making his return to the Ferrari Challenge, and delighted to welcome him back, needs to get by both of these cars to then start running up towards the rest of the pack in terms of Trofeo Pirelli, which is at the moment Luca Nurmi holding that P4 place. And here comes Nicolo Rossi. He took a brave look at the inside of Marco Pulcini. Now, what he's trying to do is provoke Pulcini into making something of a mistake here, and that almost came. And of course, Max Mugelli is just waiting to pounce as well. And Mugelli, who of course has had lots and lots of experience in the Ferrari Challenge. So here is Marco Pulcini and Nicolo Rossi then continuing this fight that is going on. And it is for P4 within the Trofeo Pirelli AM class. A reminder to you, if the drivers have a white sun strip atop the windscreen, they're a Trofeo Pirelli AM driver. If they are a red stripe, then they are a Trofeo Pirelli driver. That's how we distinguish between the two. And the best of the Trofeo Pirelli drivers at the moment is this young lady, Doriane Pin. Let's take a look at the start then. As they headed towards the lights, one or two cars just getting a little bit out of shape. And on board with Doriane Pin, one of the Scuderia Nicky Iron Lynx Iron Dames drivers. And of course she has Adrian SUTIL right alongside. You can just see the Adrian SUTIL car come into shot then, the all-red machine. And SUTIL was under some pressure from John Vortique in the early stages and the early turns, but that's where SUTIL's experience really counted. He was able to carry enough momentum. Now, Christian Brunsburg and Ange Bardet, that's how Christian Brunsburg got by Ange Bardet right at the start. There you can see that all being discussed with Luca Nurmi's father there in one of the garages. And the excitement, as you can see, is relived all around the paddock. And the grandstands come to that. Our 30th anniversary season then. And this is another good fight that is going on. And you can see as they go into that chicane, which you climb uphill a little bit there. A very, very difficult part of the circuit to get absolutely right. But AC, Alessandro Cozzi being chased here. And it is Schoendeveur who is doing the chasing. And also involved there is Hanno Laskowski. So AC, Alessandro Cozzi, well, makes a mistake, runs wide, allows the car to go through of our debut making in the Ferrari Challenge, Nigel Schoendeveur. Delighted that he is here. And here comes Hanno Laskowski trying to have a go as well on that number 25 car of Alessandro Cozzi. But thus far, he's not been able to do so. Doriane Pin has extended her lead to 3.699 seconds over Adrian SUTIL. And Ange Bardet is maintaining the 2-second gap, the lead of the Trofeo Pirelli AM race. Meantime, Max Mugelli ahead of Nicolo Rossi, and Marco Pulcini is ahead. And just as we mentioned that, Max Mugelli dives to the inside, but he wasn't quite close enough to be able to go through on Marco Pulcini. So there is Max Mugelli then returning to the Ferrari Challenge. And Marco Pulcini in the beautiful blue 488 Challenge Evo car. There you can see Nicolo Rossi is just behind that number 3 car of Max Mugelli. Now, Max Mugelli takes advantage of a huge mistake made by Pulcini, who's pulled right off the circuit. Is he going to return? Didn't quite pick up. No, I think he's got a problem. So Marco Pulcini has parked the number 27 car and is getting out of the car. Now, where that car is, will that provoke a safety car? He is livid, as you can see. So Marco Pulcini is, wow, so angry and is out of the car. So it seemed really innocuous. I'm not sure there was any, I mean, he was under real pressure from Max Mugelli. And I don't think, I'm convinced Mugelli didn't touch him, Nico. He just seemed to identify an issue and pulled off.
Yeah, certainly nothing that we saw there. I mean, certainly a technical issue of some description, but it came really sudden because along the straight everything was still very much in order.
Mystified. Absolutely mystified. Now, is that car far enough away from the racing line? I think it probably is, isn't it? I mean, it's, I mentioned earlier in the pre-race that there is acres and acres and acres of tarmac runoff area here at Paul Ricard. So hopefully we won't get an interruption, perhaps just a localized yellow for that particular section of the track. Ange Bardet then is almost on the back of Luca Nurmi. Such is the pace that he's shown. Now he has got by the car of Christian Brunsburg. And this is Ange. Well, of course, this is his local track. He should know every curve and every nuance of this track better than anybody else. And this extra motion shot then is beautiful of the Ange Bardet car, the SF Côte d'Azur driver. So yellow flag, localized yellows at turns 4 and 3 have been adopted. So here is Alessandro Cozzi then under real pressure from Hanno Laskowski. This is for P6 and P7 in the Trofeo Pirelli AM race that we're watching this battle going on. But at the moment, Alessandro Cozzi, they're P11 and P12, of course, in the race overall. But within class, it is P6 and P7. And there you can see the gap evolution between the two of them, the graphics at the bottom of the screen between them over the last 3 laps. We're into the close to the halfway stage of the race. We've got 18 minutes according to the clock remaining, plus 1 lap, as the cars then have stretched themselves out. And Doriane Pin continuing to really dominate the Trofeo Pirelli race with 4.5 seconds of advantage over Adrian SUTIL, who in turn has got a couple of seconds over John Vortique, who in turn has got a 1.5 seconds over Luca Normi. The man that's making great strides is Andre Bardet, but he's got no further Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers to overtake because he is leading the Trofeo Pirelli AM race. So Bardet, Brunsberg and Arno Dahlmeier are the top 3 in Trofeo Pirelli AM, the top 3 in Trofeo Pirelli. Doriane Pin, Adrian SUTIL and John Vortique. And this is the battle that is continuing between Hanno Laskowski, who's trying every single different line he can to really upset Alessandro Cozzi ahead of him. Hanno Laskowski then doing everything. He's been really quite unorthodox in the lines that he's taking. And the reason for that is he's trying to fill the rear view mirrors of Alessandro Cozzi's car with the awesome lime green of Hanno Laskowski to try and provoke a mistake here. And at the moment, Alessandro Cozzi doing a good job in defending, and thus far has not been provoked into making a mistake and allowing Hanno Laskowski through. I think I saw Max Mugelli slowing. The all-red car of Max Mugelli seemed to be slowing out there on track. And sure enough, he's dropping down the graphics as Hanno Laskowski did take a look at the inside line, but again was just not able to go through. So AC with a strict lesson in defending at the moment, and continues to do that for lap after lap as we are 1.5 minutes away from half distance in this race. With Pin, Sutil, Vortique, the 1, 2, 3 for Trofeo Pirelli, and for Trofeo Pirelli AM, Bardet, Brunsberg and Arno Dahlmeier. So again, Hanno Laskowski looking at all sorts of unorthodox lines to try and unsettle the car of Alessandro Cozzi, but thus far steadfast in defending is Alessandro Cozzi, and he's not made a mistake that has allowed Hanno Laskowski through. So here we can see the cars then as one of the fastest part of the fastest part of the circuit as you go under the bridge, and then really heavy braking. Let's take a look at the heat map, which will show you just how hot it is. Look at this on the racing line, the red really delineating the heat map on the track, and of course tyre degradation perhaps towards the end of the race might play a part into this race. Although the track here is not, and I was talking to the Pirelli engineers, it's not spectacularly abrasive. And this is Doriane Pin. This, an extra motion shot of Doriane Pin then. The Scuderia Nicky Iron Lynx driver, who, of course, had a fantastic time of it in round 1 in Portimao, taking 2 wins out of 2 starts. And here she is leading the race for Scuderia Nicky Iron Lynx. Of course, Doriane Pin is one of the Iron Dames. Michelle Gatting occupied that position last year and occupied that position to the championship, which she won. Now, it's fair to say that both Michelle Gatting and Doriane Pin are completely and totally different characters. However, one thing that is similar between them is their racing prowess. Absolutely superb. I was so impressed with Doriane Pin in her qualifying today, because she literally brought the car out, did an installation lap, bosh, did a fast lap, set pole position, parked the car in the pit lane, job done, went off and had a coffee. I'm sure she didn't. I'm sure she started immediately looking at data, because she is a true hard-working racing driver. But honestly, Nico, it was textbook how to do qualifying, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you couldn't be more efficient if you tried, and she's really got the hang of it. Now, obviously, also credit to the team who engineered a fantastic car for her, which is half the race, but she does and delivers the other half in a astonishingly consistent fashion.
Yes.
Haven't seen any foot or wheel, rather, put wrong across the first 2.5 races of the season. So really impressive.
Now, I agree with that impressiveness. Here comes, in replay, Hanno Laskowski looking at the inside line of Alessandro Cozzi. Now that's as close as he has got, but AC absolutely sticking his elbows out and maintaining the momentum and determined not to let Hanno Laskowski through. Thank you for the musical accompaniment just when it wasn't called for. But look at that. That's, to be fair to AC, under that intense pressure, and of course what Hanno Laskowski has done, he's taken out so much in terms of the rubber on, because he's been trying for so many laps, running behind AC, been running in that turbulent air. The brakes are going to be so hot, and AC done a great job in defending here, so fair play to him. And I remind you, this is the battle that's going on for P6 and P7 in Trofeo Pirelli Am, as Laskowski again having a go. But to be fair, and this is really what impresses me about the Riller and Schnaut driver, Hanno Laskowski, he will really have a go, and he will go for it. If he feels there is a moment of danger where he might put the other car or driver into peril, he yields. He takes his foot off, and that's precisely what he did through that final turn 15, Nico.
Yeah, great disciplined driving, absolutely, as you said. Trying to go for the overtake, but when it's not there, rather dial out of it and compromise maybe the next lap or so, having to catch up again rather than, you know, going for a daredevil move that will take both drivers just as I said. And again, you know, much to his chagrin, he really slowed down almost to a standstill.
Well, he could end up losing out to the car that is right behind, which is Omar Jackson, or is it actually Andrew Gilbert? We'll see when we get the cars into shot, but there is AC who can breathe again now for certainly perhaps a lap or so, because Hanno Laskowski is far enough ahead. It is Omar Jackson that is now beginning to pursue Hanno Laskowski. And incidentally, car number 85, Hanno Laskowski, being warned about track limits at turn number 7. Well, that was certainly the case, wasn't it? And this is where he was determined to have a go. And to be fair, the window of opportunity was left open, but clattering across the curbs, the overtake there actually really wasn't on, was it, Nico?
No, definitely not, but fair play for having a try, and even more fair play for dialing out of it when it's not there. So very fair and respectful driving, certainly.
Now, Christian Brunsburg is about to come under pressure for the second place on the Trofeo Pirelli Am podium from Arno Dahlmeier here. Let's get a live gap between the two of them. It's 7/10 between Christian Brunsburg and Arno Dahlmeier. It's Formula Racing versus Scuderia Nicky Iron Lynx. Now, by dint of the fact that Arno Dahlmeier drives for the Scuderia Nicky Iron Lynx team, and we know how they engineered Doriane Pin's car, this car is going to be quick, isn't it? But Formula Racing know how to engineer a car as well, and Christian Brunsburg runs for that team. And Christian Brunsburg at the moment holding on to that P2 place. But Ange Bardi, who got past Christian Brunsburg earlier on in the race, of course, has disappeared up the road in the lead of Trofeo Pirelli Am. I remind you, two classes racing within the one race. We have the Trofeo Pirelli drivers with the red stripe across the top of the windscreen. And these cars, the Trofeo Pirelli Am cars, with the white strip across the top of the windscreen. And it's the fight that's going on for P2 between Christian Brunsburg and Arno Dahlmeier. And I would just suggest that Christian Brunsburg has got the measure of whatever Arno Dahlmeier is able to take to him at the moment. As you can see, the statistics and the progress on the left-hand side of your screen. Good progress by Omar Jackson, who's moved up 3 places, and also Alexandre Bochet having done the same as well. So here is AC, and Hanno Laskowski is back right on him again. So inevitably, Nico, I'm inclined to say that the faster of the two drivers is Hanno Laskowski. But it's all very well being faster. You've got to find a way by. And to be fair, Hanno has tried, I would like to suggest, on nearly every corner to have a go, and thus far has not succeeded.
Yeah, and I think some of the moves we saw earlier, before he dialed out of it, were a little bit desperate. Because they were not really the prototypical overtaking opportunity. Can he get alongside? No, not quite. AC just has that extra bit of momentum. But yeah, it has to be quite frustrating for Arno Dahlmeier, because he's certainly a few tenths quicker per lap, if unleashed. But his race has not been unleashed yet. He still has to deal with the AC ahead of him.
Yes, Hanno Laskowski is doing everything he can, and here again you can see that AC is just super smooth, isn't he? Although the back end of the car stepped out a little bit there. Now, if Hanno Laskowski is able to get into the draft of the AC car, he's going to have to be king of the late breakers, diving to the inside as they head towards the left-hander, which is turn number 1. He is close enough. He needs to put the car right alongside. Alessandro Cozzi closes off that window of opportunity, and I don't think Hanno is quite quick enough to be able to take it to turn number 2. Sure enough, he isn't. So once again, Hanno Laskowski is getting frustrated, and you can almost feel the frustration he's feeling. It's a great fight between the two of them, and I remind you, it's a fight for one of the lower places down in the Trofeo Pirelli Am race. Now Hanno Laskowski does get right alongside, but again, AC has got momentum. He's smooth and he's able to carry more speed. You see what Hanno Laskowski is doing, Nico, he's pointing the car, but he's having to brake and rotate the car at such a slower speed. That's where AC is able to recover the position, and actually the position doesn't come under threat.
Indeed, yeah, but great respectful driving from both of them, absolutely, and they're really in a bitter fight, but in a it looked like there was an opportunity there, maybe, but then we look again, and as you said, I mean, he was alongside for the moment, but had to scrub off so much speed to turn it around on that small, restricted real estate he had available there.
Oh, that's a romantic description. Real estate. That means track, does it?
Pretty much.
Forgive me. Here's Onchibade, who is leading the Trofeo Pirelli Am race, and is leading it by a big margin over Christian Brunsborg. We're talking about 10 seconds. Now, presumably, Nico, no one has got more experience of the Paul Ricard circuit in the Ferrari Challenge than Onchibade. He is a local driver driving for the SF Côte d'Azur Cannes team, and he is driving it really well. Of course, we were delighted at the beginning of the program that he took us for a hot lap around here. And talking of hot laps, there have been every one since the very start of the race has been a hot lap by this Doriane Pin, Scuderia Nicky Iron Links. What a fantastic driver. Also nearly 10 seconds up the road as once again here comes Hanno Laskowski trying to use the outside line here. He's further ahead than he has ever been, but again it's still Doriane Pin has got a puncture, Nico. Doriane Pin is out of the race. What a disaster. And ironically, it's Doriane Pin that had got probably the most conserved rubber of all the drivers. And it's happened just at a horrible time, because I think she's on the start-finish straight and therefore has missed pit in.
I think it was on the Mistral straight.
I beg your pardon, you're right.
But by the time she comes back, and you can already see, yeah, she's pulling over. I mean, by the time she's in pit lane with 5 minutes remaining, she had a huge advantage, but not huge enough, obviously, to nurse the car back for half a lap, get a wheel changed, and heartbreaking. You could see on the pit perch, Manuela Gostner, nothing to do with the team, feeling the pain of her competitor. And that all of a sudden puts the podium for Adrian SUTIL, John Botique and Luca Nurmi.
Now, this is Max Mugelli is ahead of the number 5 car. The number 5 car is our race leader now. This is Adrian SUTIL. Max Mugelli is a back marking. Max Mugelli letting the cars through. Look, here comes Adrian SUTIL. He could fall prey to John Botique, who had a torrid time of it at Portimao. And all of a sudden, John Botique will be thinking, whoa, hang on a minute here. I've been elevated to P2. What about my chances of getting P1 away from the former Formula 1 star? This will be a real motivation for John Botique, and of course it will be motivation for Adrian SUTIL as well, making his debut in the Ferrari Challenge. Now he's been advantaged by Doriane Pin then, having to go and get a wheel changed, but nonetheless, a win is a win, and well, heartbreak for Doriane Pin. Adrian SUTIL then leads the race from John Botique and Luca Nurmi. And I just think as Doriane Pin comes into the pit lane running on the rim, this is so disappointing for the Scuderia Nicky Iron Links driver with just 3 3/4 minutes left. They go to work, and of course, I mean, it's not futile, Nico, because she can still bank points. But inevitably, it isn't going to be they're checking for damage, of course, because running around with a deflated tyre as the wheel goes on, and they'll get, I'm sure they will get Doriane Pin back out, because any point is better than no points, surely. Although there doesn't seem to be huge urgency. No. Is the engine note rising? Is Doriane going to go back out? Yes, indeed she is. So the Scuderia Nicky Iron Links driver Doriane Pin then really feel for her there. Adrian SUTIL leading by 1.3 seconds over John Vortique. We've got 3 minutes plus a lap remaining in the race, and here comes Doriane Pin out of the pit lane to rejoin. Now, our race leader is this man, Adrian SUTIL, making his debut in the Ferrari Challenge this weekend. The back end of Adrian SUTIL's car is looking quite loose, Nico. This is allowing John Vortique to get a little bit closer. This race isn't over yet. Hold on to your hats and any other form of loose-fitting clothing that you may have, because I think it could all change here. So, John Vortique, look, is very nearly 2/10 quicker than Adrian SUTIL. He's taken nearly 2/10 out of Adrian SUTIL's lead. This, game on, potentially here. Game on for John Vortique. Now, he had a rotten time of it in Portimao. You say he had a rotten time of it, Dave. He took 2 P3 places, but the car and he were not as one, and therefore, he will be hoping that he can right the wrongs of Portimao, and certainly he's running in that P2 position now. He really wants to take the championship this year, does John Vortique. And there you can you see the Adrian SUTIL car is just looking a bit looser, isn't it? Now, you and I both know that Adrian SUTIL was out for a lot longer during the qualifying session. And therefore, it makes no sense to me why Doriane Pin, maybe she just picked up some debris on the track somewhere and got the puncture, because she had the tyres that had the least use during qualifying. But I do think that SUTIL is potentially looking vulnerable here. And come on, what have we got left? The remainder of this lap plus one more?
Yeah, definitely. That's what it's going to be.
John Vortique is flashing his lights, trying to upset Adrian ahead of him. Oh, this could be on. Oh, it's John, in his effort to get closer, runs really, really wide. But the gap is coming down, Nico.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't think he'll be close enough to do anything on the straight this time around, but there is one more after that. So John Vortique, I mean, he would like to beat the former Formula 1 driver. You can bet on it.
Let's not lose sight of the fact John Vortique raced single-seaters as well. Not the same level as Adrian, and he'd be the first to admit that. But here we go. So there you can see the pit in, which is at turn 14. So here's turn 15. And as they cross the timing line, I am convinced it's going to say final lap. The clock will change from 26, 25, 24 seconds to final lap. Here's the live gap, 7/10 between them. Final lap starts. It's now or never for Vortique, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not quite close enough here, but as you said, the gap has come down. Now, Adrian SUTIL, all his experience, he will know how to manage a gap, but, you know, we're coming into the territory where the car being loose a little bit can mean that John Vortique is really, really on his rear bumper. So it's not a lot between them, is there?
No, then it's getting even less between them. So as they go through some of the twisty parts of the circuit, in my opinion, John Vortique is inevitably quicker. But it's all very well being quicker. You've got to find a way by as Adrian SUTIL tries to carry as much speed through every turn as he possibly can and make the car a bit wider to prevent John Vortique from coming through. Of course, both of them have been gifted the advantage of Doriane Pin falling over, and that's why they are fighting for this P1 place in Trofeo Pirelli. Between Adrian SUTIL and John Vortique, here's the heat map. Let's get the heat map inside the cockpit of the car, because that would really tell us what it's like. So, Adrian SUTIL and John Vortique, they have but a few more corners to do. And I think any opportunity John Vortique has had to try and get by Adrian SUTIL potentially has gone now. It will take a mistake, I would suggest. And Adrian SUTIL is not renowned for making mistakes as John Vortique tries to put the car to the inside. You can see the brake discs really light up. And Adrian SUTIL is just clean, tidy through the turns, and there are but 2 or 3 turns remaining for these two drivers. But John Vortique can take pride in fact that he has taken it all the way to the checkered flag. Between the two of them, there'll be a drag race to the checkered flag, but inevitably, I think that Adrian SUTIL has done enough here. So a couple of more turns to do. I don't think that John Vortique, he's holding back deliberately to try and get a blast now before the start-finish line, but Adrian SUTIL has done enough on his debut in the Ferrari Challenge. He wins race 1 ahead of John Vortique, P2. Then it's going to be some distance, 8 seconds before we see Luca Nurmi, but on Jabada, he wins the Trofeo Pirelli Am race ahead of Christian Brunsborg and Arno Dahlmeier. You will forgive me for reminding you that I said right at the start of the program, the only thing to remember is expect the unexpected, because things can change in a heartbeat, Nico, and for Doriane Pin, heartbreak, I would suggest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at the championship, you have to be really proud about the pace and the speed she has in the car and the ability, because she did nothing wrong. But obviously now, in this very moment, it is really disappointing. Happy for the Iron Lynx team that Arno Dahlmeier gets a podium out of this. So there is certainly at least a little bit of remedy and satisfaction on that end. But obviously the big disappointment is with Doriane Pin not finishing the race in the position where she felt she would. She will take P4 eventually, yes, in class, which from a championship point position will minimize the damage. Yes. But obviously a far, far, far cry from where she looked set to finish this race.
Absolutely, had a 10-second margin, Nico, plus. On Jabade then, congratulations to the SF Côte d'Azur driver. He has made it 3 wins in a row, Nico, because he took both victories in Trofeo Pirelli Am at Portimao. So on Jabade's on a roll here, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously this track, if you'd expect him to be extremely good, this is the track. Yeah. But you still have to deliver, and deliver he did, and in bunches. So great racing and great race from Doriane Pin, even though the result sheet will not tell the full story. Yeah.
Whilst all that was going on, of course, there you can see our virtual podium. This is the way it's going to look. Adrian SUTIL, P1, P2, John Vortique, and P3 for Luca Nurmi. Yeah, I mean, we just couldn't take our eyes away from that. I mean, John Vortique, both he and Adrian SUTIL are hugely experienced drivers. And John Vortique threw everything out of the car in his attempts to get by Adrian SUTIL, but I just felt that both John Vortique and Adrian SUTIL, by being so experienced, they were never going to throw away the points haul that they could take in the quest of P1. On Jabade taking P1 for the Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers ahead of Christian Brunsborg, and a good run from Arno Dahlmeier. Ah, what a race. There's confirmation of the classification for our Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers. On Jabade ahead of Christian Brunsborg, Arno Dahlmeier, then a good P4 from Nicolo Rossi, Nigel Schoendevert, and then the rest of the order you can see on screen. Well, you have to feel for that car that was just going through for Doriane Pin. But all congratulations to this man, Adrian SUTIL, and there you can see John Vortique just exiting his 488 Challenge Evo car, and to the right-hand side of your picture is the 66 car of Luca Nurmi. This is on Jabade then, the local driver who is victorious in Trofeo Pirelli Am. Get my words out now. It's very exciting towards the end of that race. And there is congratulations between our P1 and P2. There's Luca Nurmi then, who I have to say will feel gifted with that P3. But then both SUTIL and Vortique have been gifted their positions as well by dint of Doriane Pin falling over, unfortunately, with a deflated tyre. And I'm sure it must have been debris that she picked up. And there you can see on Jabade then really receiving the applause at his local win. So enjoying our cine show then, as we look at the race-winning car of Adrian SUTIL. And let's go down to Marietta Evans, who's got our race winner.
Adrian, what a way to start your campaign in this series. Not an easy victory because John was getting closer and closer behind you.
Yes, it's probably never easy to win a race. So, and this one probably was given to me in the end when the car in front of me pulled out. So she was much faster. But anyway, so I take this as it is, and it was tricky in the end because the tires are really going away pretty quickly, and I'm not so experienced on the touring car driving, so it's I still have to find a little bit of driving style, but it's okay. So I enjoy it. It's most important.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
And as Adrian said, and he was the first to say, you know, I was gifted this, but a win is a win, Nico. Let's take a look at some of the great images from that Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race. Here they go. The car that propelled Onjabadi then to the Trofeo Pirelli AM win. And right now, Onjabadi is with...
Trofeo Pirelli AM is now more leader. What a fabulous victory at your home race. How are you feeling right now?
I'm happy. It's my home race. We have a lot of friends. The team make a very good job. I thank a lot for the organization of Ferrari. It's fabulous, amazing. I'm happy. Maybe I hope the same result for tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I love your smile.
Thank you.
What I was going to say is, with Marietta, I got denied the opportunity to say there is plenty of delight down there in the pit lane. Race statistics then. Best progress from Nigel Schoendeverd then, as you can see, up 5 places. Who is quickest through the speed trap? It's Hanno Laskowski, I think it was. So we're going to head up to the podium now. 2 podiums to come.
For this first podium, Pirelli Trophy. I want to hear your claps for this podium. Set on the podium from Finland, Luca Nurmi. And second place from Belgium, Jean Vertieke. And the winner is from Germany, Adrian SUTIL. National anthem. claps for this
You can see Doriane Pin there, who I have to huge respect to Doriane Pin to be down there to celebrate this podium, which of course she should be on the top step. Miguel Molina making the trophy presentation to Luca Nurmi then, who takes P3. And John Boutique takes the P2 trophy.
Adrian SUTIL.
Adrian SUTIL then with P1.
Pirelli, Mr. Lucio Vergani, Pirelli Motorsport Manager. The trophy for...
And the Pirelli trophy is made now to Adrian SUTIL, to add to quite a collection he has on his mantelpiece, I can assure you. Drivers all get together for the obligatory photographs then, as the focus of motorsport media is on the top three in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli.
And now we are ready for the battle of
super images then of the top three cars that pushed their drivers to those steps of the podium. Luca Nurmi for Formula Racing took P3. It was P2 for the Belgian driver John Boutique for FML D2P. And making his debut in the Ferrari Challenge for Go Motorsport, Adrian SUTIL then driving that number 5 488 Challenge Evo race winner. And here we can see the Drivers' Championship points, where 10 points Doriane Pin leads the championship over Luca Nurmi on 36. Then is John Boutique just 2 points behind, ahead of Adrian SUTIL and Max Mugelli, all banking the points in Trofeo Pirelli. And there is Doriane Pin then. Huge respect to Doriane. You would think lesser mortals would be so blooming annoyed that they wouldn't go and celebrate the podium, but she does, so real fair play. Here comes Trofeo Pirelli and podium right now, as Michele Mambelli then, who is our podium presenter, is about to bring the drivers out there for the podium. So Arno Dahlmeier onto the third step of the podium. Here comes Christian Brunsburg to take the second step.
As a four-time champion,
Angebade then, local driver to the top step of the podium, as we hear the national anthem now. So Miguel Molina once again will do the trophy presentations. So Arno Dahlmeier, so some success for Scuderia Nicky Iron Links, of course, because their driver takes P3 in Trofeo Pirelli. Formula Racing's Christian Brunsburg takes P2. And then on the top step of the podium for SF Côte d'Azur, it's Angebade who receives his trophy from Miguel Molina, official Competizione GT driver for Ferrari, and top bloke. And a Pirelli trophy being awarded to the correct driver now, Angebade. So well done. And all the drivers will get together on the top step of the podium, ready for the photographs. And SF Côte d'Azur are on the podium as well. So here are the cars then that drove those drivers to those podium places. Arno Dahlmeier for Scuderia Nicky Iron Links takes P3. Formula Racing's Christian Brunsborg. He takes P2. However, it was a commanding victory for the SF Côte d'Azur driver, local driver at that, Angebade, who takes P1. So we will take a look at the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli and Drivers' Championship, which I can confidently predict this man, Angebade, will be leading. By dint of the fact he's taken 3 wins out of 3 race starts, as Doriane Pin continues to celebrate down there, and you know, that's huge credit, huge credit. So let's take a look then. Angebade then on 50 points. Look at that. Ahead of Marco Pulcini on 27, Christian Brunsborg on 26, ahead of Arno Dahlmeier. Then it's AC, Nicolo Rossi, David Gosner, Hanno Laskowski, Nigel Schoendevert, and Omar Jackson. And there is the second page of the Drivers' Championship points in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Am. So the Trofeo Pirelli Race 1 here at Circuit Paul Ricard is done and dusted. We will be racing for Race 2 tomorrow. Please make sure you join us for that. But for now, thank you so much for watching. From Paul Ricard, bye-bye for now.